Hello y'all, this is Primetron Zero, and today I'm going to be doing another Transformers review, this time about the Decepticon Starscream. And Starscream made his first appearance in Transformers Generation 1. And he was a Decepticon, and he was also, he served Megatron, you know what I mean? He was on, but it was times him and Megatron didn't always seem eye to eye. They always fought, you know what I mean? And Starscream always was wanting to start stuff with Megatron because he wanted to be the leader, you know what I mean? And he couldn't stand the fact that Megatron was the leader of the Decepticons. So him and Megatron used to always fight over who would be a better leader. And and they used to always fight. I mean, especially in G1. And there was times they fought in Transformers Prime, and there was also times they fought in the live action movies. You know what I mean? But he took the form of a red and gray, red, gray, and blue fighter jet. He was a jet. He took the form of kind of like a Raptor. He took the form of a fighter jet, you know what I mean? And he was a Decepticon, you know what I mean? And he was his off mode, he transformed into a fighter jet, you know what I mean? And he also had different weapons. Like in G1, he had different guns that he used. He had like blasters on his arm, but he was very vicious, very evil, very conniving too, like very deceiving, like he was very sneaky. And Megatron didn't always trust him. He was always sneaky, you know what I mean, because he wanted to be the leader. But him and Megatron didn't always see eye to eye because he wanted to be the Decepticon leader, Starscream. But he was definitely vicious. He didn't like humans. He was definitely one of my favorite Decepticons. But it was many times during battle, he used to always fly away. When things get tough, he used to always fly off. And he used to always act kind of a little cowardly from time to time. But then there's times he acts really tough. So he has a tough side to him, but then he also runs when the odds get when the odds is too stacked against him. He always flee. He'd be the first one to flee out of the Decepticons. And it was times Megatron really got mad about him about that, especially even in the live action movies, But I really love Megatron. I really love his design. My fault, y'all. Starscream. I really love Starscream's design from G1, from the live action movies. I even loved his design in the live action movies, and I remember seeing him in the live action movies and seeing him for the first time and seeing him talk. Now, he made his appearance in Transformers G1. That was his first appearance. He also made his appearance in Transformers Prime, which I love his design in Transformers Prime. He also made his appearance in Transformers Beast Wars. He was a spirit. He got inside of, I think his name was Waspinator. He got inside one of the bodies of the Decepticons, like in the Beast Wars era, He made a lot of appearances throughout the Transformers generations without, times as a ghost, There's times he came back as a spirit. Even in G1, he got inside one of the bodies of, I think it was Scorch or Sweeps, around the time, Rodimus Prime, he was the leader. It was around that time, and it was even times in G1 when he formed a deal with Unicron. Him and Unicron actually formed a deal that if he helps, if Starscream helps him get his body back, he wanted Starscream to connect his head to the planet Cybertron because, Cybertron and Unicron are related, you know. Cybertron is Unicron's brother, you know what I mean? But he wanted him to connect them. You know, they actually formed a deal. But the deal was cut short because of the from Galvatron and the Autobots, you know what I mean? So, but he formed many deals, you know. He even created his own army of Decepticons. You know, he created the Combaticons and to form Budagris. I forgot his name, Budagris or something. He created them, the military, the combiners, the military vehicles. He created the Combaticons, and when they combine, they form Budagris. I'm getting his name mixed up, y'all. My fault. I think I'm misspelling his name, but he created them, and he was very smart. He was very intelligent. Starscream. He was also friends with Skyfire. But you know, like during the final days of Cybertron, he was friends also with Skyfire. But he also made his appearance in the Transformers live-action movies, you know what I mean? And I really enjoyed his, you know, I loved his, when they introduced him, like near the, I think it was like near the middle of the movie, they showed Starscream, you know. And like his G1 counterpart, he took the form of a F-22 Raptor. Now, the only difference was he wasn't red, he was like a silver color. But I really liked his voice. I liked the person that did his voice in Transformers live action movies. I even loved his personality. You know, he seemed a lot similar to his G1 counterpart. It was times when things get tough, he'll flee. Just like at the end of Transformers 1, he did flee, but he did fight. He was no joke. He was jumping on the Raptors, like where the humans was flying and shooting them, and it was blowing up. That's one of my favorite scenes of Starscream. Also, you know, he also made a second appearance in Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, you know, which was really cool. And you know, he appeared, and he was one of the when Megatron and them caught Sam, they trapped him and his friend and his girlfriend Michaela, and Starscream was like really like he was taunting Sam, and he was chasing him, like he didn't like Sam. And also in Transformers 2, we got a chance to see Starscream's new weapon, which was his saw hand. He cut through the car. He cut the car in two to get them out, you know what I mean? And I remember Sam and them was screaming. That's one of my favorite parts. They were screaming, and the car just split in half through because of Starscream's saw hand. That was the first time we got a chance to see Starscream's new weapon. And I really loved that weapon that he used, the saw hand. And I think it was on his right arm. His arm transforms into a saw. And he has another weapon on his other arm, which is it fires missiles. His hand turns into like weapons come out his left fist, which shoot missiles. And in his right hand, he has his hand turns into a saw. So that was the first time that we got a glimpse of more Starscream in Transformers 2. You know what I mean? Because he also had a new weapon, which was his saw hand. I really loved that. He also used that during the battle with Optimus. You know, he also used that during the battle of Optimus, and it was really cool. And in my opinion, like one of my favorite Starscream moments is in Transformers 3 when he also be chasing Sam, and he be using his saw hand, like he was sawing, like Sam and them run, and they hide like in a bus, and Starscream knocks the bus over and saws the bus, and he be like, "You can't hide, boy." And he says, I love you, little insect speed, time to run." You know, that's like one of my favorite parts in Transformers 3, you know. Also, I love the fact that One of my favorite parts is when he be saying, "You human scum," and he be saying that "I'm going to kick you." That was one of my favorite parts of Starscream, like one of my favorite moments. Also in G1 is one of my favorite moments is when he left Megatron hanging. He's like, Megatron was like, "I still function," and then Starscream was like, "Wanna bet?" So that was like one of my favorite. There's a lot of amazing, cool Starscream moments, in my opinion. It's a lot of moments, and he's a great character, He's very sneaky, he's definitely a traitor character. He's betrayed Megatron many times, and Megatron has gave him many chances to prove his loyalty to him. But Starscream and Megatron always bumped heads. They always was fighting. And Starscream didn't care about humans. He was just as vicious as Megatron. He was dangerous. He was a very popular character. And his character still stays irrelevant to all these years. From G1, from Transformers Prime, from Transformers Robots in Disguise, from Titans Return, from the Transformers live action movies, I really love his live action movie, his counterpart, I love his design in the movies, and he was in Transformers 1, Transformers 2, and Transformers 3. Now, Transformers 3, he met his end at the hands of Sam Witwicky, when Sam stuck it was a weapon made by Q. He stuck this detonator in his eye, and it got stuck, and Sam was waiting for it to detonate. It was a weapon, and it blew him up. It blew his head, it just completely destroyed him. It blew his spark out and everything. And also, Starscream met his end at the hands of Galvatron, when Megatron returned as Galvatron in the Transformers animated movie. So, as many times he died. He died in G1, in the G1 animated movie, and he also died in the, met his end in Transformers Dark of the Moon, So he was in Transformers 1, Transformers 2, Revenge of the Fallen, and Transformers 3, Dark of the Moon, But he was a popular character. And what I also liked in Transformers The Last Night, he does a cameo. It's like they show his head, and they show Megatron talking to him. And he says that, my treacherous friend, it's a shame you met your end, and you can't realize, he says something. He says, what a shame, my treacherous friend, that you won't be able to see, what's happening now. That's what Megatron was saying. Megatron was saying, he picked his head up, and Megatron was talking to him, saying, "My old treacherous friend," So that was a cool addition to Transformers The Last Night, Starscream, which he was just a head, which was messed up. So it was cool that they, So, so it did open the doors for possibilities that it would be cool if Starscream did return, Which in one of the cartoons, he returned as a